Far out at sea, the sky rolled with dark clouds, and the waves tossed the small ship like a toy in the middle of the ocean. And right in the place where no one dared to set foot, the fishermen did the unbelievable. 6 tons of octopus changed to $900,000 in less than a week. That number is enough to make anyone stunned, but the real question is, how did they do it as octopus prices skyrocket in Japan, South Korea, and the United States? Each creature from the deep sea suddenly becomes a living treasure. But to turn these masterful camouflaged creatures into gold for the dinner table, go discover how fishermen turned 6 tons of octopus into $900,000 in less than a week. Octopus, the invisible creatures of the ocean. They are extremely intelligent, change color in the blink of an eye, and disappear into the ocean like a wisp of smoke. Their elusiveness makes them a luxury trophy, sought after from Japan, Korea, to luxurious banquet tables in Europe. Not only does it have a unique flavor, octopus hunting is also associated with the story of humans and the ocean, a journey that requires skill, patience, and luck. Every time they cast their nets or dive down to hunt, fishermen not only bring home income, but also the pride of conquering one of the most mysterious creatures in the ocean. During the peak season, old wooden boats plow through the cold, deep waters. Divers plunge into the water, armed only with tridents and a basket hanging from their sides. No oxygen tanks, no lifelines. They have only short breaths, racing hearts, and a breathless confrontation with the ocean in less than 2 minutes. Under the opaque blue water, they followed every fragile trace, a layer of recently disturbed sand, a slip on a rock, or a few neatly stacked shells. All signals leading to an octopus's lair. With just one precise stab, then a strong tug, they could pull up to 8.8 pounds of the creature, wrapped tightly like a living tornado. But the biggest challenge isn't catching the prey. It's surviving the journey back. A sudden wave can capsize a boat. A dive too deep can stop your lungs from recovering. And if the sea turns, the entire trip can be lost in less than an hour. Yet a single successful hunt, a haul of about 6 tons of octopus, or more than 13,000 pounds, could net the crew nearly $900,000 if properly preserved and shipped at the right time. It's a reward for daring, skill, and a little luck in the ocean. But behind that huge number are losses that no one can calculate. Deep cuts left by tentacles as strong as steel, nightmares of being alone in the murky water, and nights of returning empty-handed, bringing only cold rain and the salty taste of the ocean. For these fishermen, each kilo of octopus is more than just a commodity. It is a testament to their courage, their ability to survive in the harshest of conditions, and their undying belief that the ocean is cruel, but also knows how to reward those who dare to test their limits. As the fierce waves continued to crash against the boat, they remained steadfast, persistently hunting for the silent treasure, the octopus. This creature is difficult to detect, difficult to control, and even more difficult to preserve, but can be turned into nearly $1 million in less than a week if everything is done perfectly. Yet, every year, hundreds of teams still venture out to sea, not only to seek profit, but also to enjoy the moment of victory over the ocean, the excitement of pulling a deep-sea monster out of the water. For them, it is not simply a profession, but a mission, a legacy, passed down from generation to generation. There, courage, skillful craftsmanship, and faith in the sea blend into the only thing that can buy survival, human courage when facing nature. Because in this game of life and death, there are only two choices: either succumb to the raging ocean or tame it in exchange for a fortune worth millions of dollars. On land, the octopus is washed in seawater, the only way to remove sand, slime, and impurities while preserving its natural flavor. Then, they are carefully sorted. The larger ones are kept intact for high-end dishes, while the smaller ones are processed according to the specific requirements of each market. After many days of struggling with the wind and waves, the boat full of octopus finally returned to port. Each styrofoam box was unloaded, revealing octopuses still shimmering with pearly color, their soft tentacles still twitching, proof of absolute freshness. As soon as the forklifts touched the ground, the atmosphere at the fish market became animated. Buyers, restaurant owners, and export agents crowded around the auction area. The hammering sound was intense. The price for grade A octopus, large with shiny skin and firm flesh, immediately skyrocketed. Each kilo was not just a number, but the crystallization of labor, sweat, and luck at sea. The lower-priced octopuses then make their way to processing facilities, where each step is performed with absolute precision. Each octopus is turned inside out, its internal organs, ink sacs, and any inedible parts removed, ensuring the strictest hygiene standards to preserve the purity of the ocean's flavor. Some special batches are also boiled for seconds, creating eye-catching colors, preserving natural crispness and extending shelf life. Immediately after, they are put into a rapid cooling system or deep frozen at -40 degrees Celsius, locking in freshness and preserving the original flavor. In the final stage, the octopus is vacuum-packed, labeled with clear traceability and production date, turning each product into a standardized package, ready for the journey across the sea. And then those trophies don't just stop at the local market. They are exported to Japan, Korea, and Europe, the most demanding markets, where octopus is not only considered a food, but also a symbol of freshness and top quality, worthy of a value of nearly $1 million in less than a week. If at the docks, octopus is only counted by weight and number, then on the international market, they become a real treasure. Japan and Korea are huge markets where fresh octopus is used for sashimi, takoyaki, or traditional parties. Behind the million-dollar figures lies a harsh reality. Octopus hunting is a life-and-death business. Every time they go out to sea, fishermen face unexpected tsunamis, tornadoes that can sink their entire boats, or fishing accidents that happen in a split second but leave lifelong consequences. That's the price of staying at sea. And there's another more insidious but equally terrifying risk: overfishing. As global demand soars, wild octopus numbers are at risk of plummeting. Therefore, many countries have introduced fishing quotas and strict production control regulations. For fishermen, this means that not every net can be pulled full. But for the ocean, it is the hope of balance, so that future generations will still have the chance to see octopuses splashing in the deep blue water. As the red sunset falls on the sea, the fishermen silently look towards the horizon, where they have traded sweat and safety to bring home millions of dollars. But behind that glory lies a bigger question. Can we both exploit and protect it so that the ocean still has enough strength to nurture million-dollar sea voyages for future generations? But no matter how many intermediary layers it passes through, each octopus journey tells the same story. From the cold depths of the ocean, they become a luxury food that brings millions of dollars into the global economy. Octopus sashimi is not just a dish, but the crystallization of absolute freshness and courage in the middle of the ocean. 6 tons of octopus, nearly $1 million. What impressed you the most? Please comment, like, and follow to discover more secrets at the bottom of the ocean. Depending on the preparation method, octopus can be sliced raw to keep its crispness and sweetness, or blanched quickly and then shocked to create firmness, softness, and a naturally patterned skin. Octopuses may bring in hauls worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but did you know that in the cold northern seas, there is another fish that once powered entire economies? Take a guess. It's the cod, a symbol of the sea and of huge catches. Cod live at depths of 656 to 1,312 feet, where light is almost completely blocked. They prefer frigid waters from -1 to 10 degrees Celsius, moving in huge schools, following ocean currents and clinging to their prey. Small shrimp, mud crabs, sardines. Every winter, when temperatures drop, schools of cod begin their great migration from the dark, deep waters offshore, gradually moving inshore to spawn. And that is also the golden hour that fishing fleets patiently wait for all year. But how do you stay ahead of a school of fish that moves constantly in the cold ocean? The answer will be revealed in the harsh 6-day journey ahead. As the sea was covered with cold mist and the harbor slept, a ship quietly left the dock. It headed for the deep waters of the North Atlantic, where a harsh test awaited. On deck, the crew were used to a life of tossing and turning. But this time, they had a huge goal: to catch 80,000 pounds of cod in 6 days, more than 36 tons of silvery white fish in the cold sea. It's not an easy number to achieve. It's just cod, one might say. But fishermen know that every pound of fish is a battle for the ocean. This is not a simple profession. It is a fierce race against time, against the weather, and against the limits of the human body. Leading the voyage is Mike McAllister, a seasoned captain who has spent much of his life amid storms and ice. Mike knows one thing: no two sailings are alike. Winds change, currents turn, cod drift aimlessly. All of it makes each voyage a gamble with no known outcome. But his boat didn't leave empty-handed. It was equipped like a real fishing machine, with GPS to pinpoint the nautical mile, deep-sea sonar, and deep-sea cold storage capable of freezing dozens of tons of fish in just a few hours. Every system is meticulously checked. Even the slightest malfunction can turn the entire trip into a disaster, and in the middle of the ocean, there is no such thing as a quick fix. During this journey, they applied two methods: long line and bottom trawling. Each method has its own advantages and dangers. Using long line, miles of rope carrying thousands of sharp hooks, they descended to depths of nearly 1,000 feet, where schools of cod swam in the cold darkness. When pulled up, if the rhythm is correct, each silvery white cod with a firm body will be brought straight into the freezer. A seemingly simple job, but requires meticulousness and patience in each operation. Bottom trawling, on the other hand, is a different battle. The multi-ton net is dropped to the seabed, then slowly swept along the continental shelf. It can gather schools of cod moving close to the bottom, a bigger catch, but also more dangerous. If the net deviates from its course or gets caught on a rock, a $1,000 haul can be lost. That's why every move has to be almost absolutely precise. The first day was spent in preparation, calibrating the radar, checking each mesh, marking promising coordinates.
Tomorrow morning, so I'll try it later.
On the second day, the first net was cast, bringing in 8,000 pounds of fish. On the third day, huge waves came in and the deck froze, but no one stopped. They kept working in the bitter wind and the biting water. The fourth day turned out to be the golden day of the trip. A large school of fish was spotted on radar, and within a few hours, they had hauled in more than 17,000 pounds of cod, a huge load that filled the hold. By the fifth day, fatigue was etched on the faces of every sailor, but no one complained. Each man worked like a cog in a machine, casting nets, pulling in nets, sorting, freezing, recording. Everything worked together in perfect harmony, as if the ship had only one body, working tirelessly in the middle of the ocean. And then, on the last day, the last net was pulled up, completing the unfinished goal. After 6 days of challenges, overcoming wind, cold, and physical limits, they did what seemed impossible. The end result? More than 80,000 pounds of cod, caught, processed, and frozen according to the rules, worth more than $350,000. A number that came not from luck, but from experience, persistence, and a will to never give up. For them, this is more than just work. It is a way of life, a rhythm that runs deep in their blood, linked to the sound of the wind, the smell of salt, the heavy holds of fish, and the contented silence as the ship heads back toward land. Every voyage is a test, and every safe landing with a hold full of fish is a victory, not over the ocean, but over oneself. As soon as the ship docks, the cod doesn't flood the market as one might expect. Instead, each pallet of frozen fish enters a closed-loop process where speed, cleanliness, and absolute precision are the keys to survival. Just minutes from the docks, the processing plant opens its cold steel doors. Each crate of cod is taken straight to the cold storage where the slow defrosting process begins. The temperature is kept around 0 degrees Celsius, just enough to soften the fish, but not to lose its natural firm texture. Once ready, the fish are moved onto an automated conveyor belt. A system of cameras and optical sensors rapidly pans over each fish, sorting it by weight, length, and freshness. Grade A fish are sent to the bone deboning and filleting line. While machines do most of the work, humans still make the final call. Experienced technicians inspect each fillet, making sure there's no skin, blood clots, or tiny pieces of bone left behind. That precision retains the natural beauty of the cod. The flesh is white, smooth, seamless, without a single scratch. Next comes the vacuum packaging stage. Each fillet is placed in a specialized bag. The air is sucked out, tightly sealed, and then transferred directly to a -40 degrees Celsius deep freezer. Thanks to this, the original freshness is locked in for months without the need for any preservatives. It's not just the fillets. The heads are kept for soup, the backbones are simmered for broth, and the skin is fried into a popular Asian snack. Every part of the cod finds value. Nothing goes to waste. Finally, each batch is given a traceability code, catch coordinates, processing time, freezing temperature. All are printed directly on the packaging, creating absolute transparency for the most demanding markets: Japan, Europe, and the US. On average, the plant can process more than 100,000 pounds of fish per week during peak season. The line can operate 24/7, but its reputation is not based on volume, but on the consistent quality of each piece of fish that leaves the facility. When all the steps are complete, cod is no longer just fish. It is a high-end food product, ready to make its way to fancy restaurants, large supermarkets, and dining tables around the world. The cod's journey doesn't end at the factory. After processing, it continues to spread everywhere, onto supermarket shelves, into restaurant kitchens, and across the ocean to Europe, Japan, and South Korea. Markets that see cod as a premium culinary ingredient. Thanks to its delicacy and versatility, cod is more than just food. It is a bridge between the sea, processing technology, human hands, and global culinary culture. Not stopping there, cod is also associated with a traditional preservation method, drying, an industry that is hundreds of years old. After being processed, the fish are hung on high wooden racks by the sea. The cold wind and the Nordic sunshine become patient workers, helping the fish dry naturally without any chemicals. Over time, each fish body becomes supple, gives off a distinctive aroma, and retains its nutrients, ready for the journey to every corner of the world. From the cold ocean to the cozy dining table, cod is not just food, but the crystallization of labor, technology, and tradition. Each piece of white meat is the mark of many days at sea, of the silent but dedicated hands of fishermen. The story of the cod ends on the deck of the ship, full of silver. But right below their feet, under the fine sand of the seabed, another creature lies dormant, the halibut, the mysterious shadow of the ocean. Before leaving port, every detail had to be perfect. From the sonar to the mesh of the net to the reel of hand line. One small mistake could cost thousands of dollars in a few short hours. The nets were neatly stacked like weapons awaiting orders. The cables were coiled, and ice boxes were stacked high. A sailor bent down and tapped each mesh of the net, a silent but obligatory ritual, like an oath before entering battle. On the deck of the ship, covered in frost, stood Mike, a man who had spent 25 years of his life fishing for halibut. His eyes were as sharp as knives, looking out at the hazy sea beyond. Mike knew better than anyone. The sea never gives second chances. Each catch was not only money, but also the crew's hope of survival. They had exactly 14 days. If they didn't collect enough fish, everything was lost. Everything is ready. Equipment, men, and trust are on the line. Only one thing remains unknown. Will the sea give, or will it take away? The hunt is officially on. But out there, beneath the seemingly calm waves, the flounders are still lying, merging with the seabed. Will they find them before time runs out? Beneath the seemingly calm waves is another world, a world of eerie silence where invisible beings lie in wait in silence. Just sand, just seaweed, until the ground shook slightly. A pair of cold eyes opened from the sand, looking up. It was a flounder, flat, pressed against the bottom, its color blending in with the sand. The flounder is an absolute master of camouflage. It changes color with its surroundings, lies still like a shadow, and almost disappears before the eyes of its predators. You can look straight down and still not know you're facing it. They don't travel in schools. It can take hours, even days, for the sonar to pick up a faint signal. Just cast your net a little off course, and all you'll pull up is cold, empty ocean. So to win this gamble, they can't rely on a single tactic. Bottom nets to round up slow-moving fish, and hand lines to grab every last precious flounder. Two attacks on the same battlefield. But even if you spot them, catching them is another story. A flounder just needs one flick, and they're gone, melting into the sand, into the darkness. Now the stakes are in. Will Mike's state-of-the-art equipment and 25 years of experience be enough to bring down these cunning bottom fish? Or will everything go quiet, like the deep ocean where they lurk? The first day, the sea was as calm as glass, the sky was clear, a seemingly perfect start to a $170,000 gamble that was counting down the hours. The first sonar signal flashed, Mike nodded, and ordered the bottom net to be dropped. Pulling in the nets was always a breathless moment. One empty catch could cost them the day and their money. But this time, luck was on their side. Nearly 2 tons of halibut, worth more than $40,000, came ashore in the first few hours. The largest flounder were immediately marked for export to Japan, the smaller ones destined for the domestic market. The atmosphere on board was electric, smiles beaming with hope. But the ocean never lasts long. On the third day, the sonar went silent. The fish were gone, or worse, picked up by another boat. Mike had to order a change of course or the trip would be over. Competition tightened by the hour. The rival boats around them kept bringing in their nets full of fish. By the sixth day, the nets in the new waters were still sparse, the hold was empty, and there were only 8 days left on the clock. The pressure was mounting like a wave on his shoulders. Mike decided to change tactics, leave the deep water, which was no longer effective, and gamble on the shallows near the shore. Here, they switched to hand fishing, the ancient method used by their ancestors. A game that requires extreme patience and dexterity down to every string. Without the aid of machinery, each sailor must hold the rod for hours at a time, eyes on the line, hands straining to feel the slightest movement. A change in current, a faint vibration, all could be signs of a flounder. But flounder are not fooled. They hide well, and the angler must distinguish between a real bite and the ocean's trickery. One wrong move and the bait is lost, the fish escape, and time is gone forever. Though slow, each pull is a small victory. The flounder thrashing in the net, heavy and heavy, is a living testament to patience and skill. Sometimes, to win, man must return to the original method. Then the first signal came. The flounders were slowly pulled up, slowly but surely. The hold began to fill, but there was still a gap. Only 4 days left, and they still owed the ocean 3 tons of fish. Mike decided to make the final move. He would sail the ship to a remote area of the sea where few people dared to venture. This would be his last gamble. If he failed, everything would be lost. The first catch was only a few fish. The whole ship was silent. No one dared to breathe loudly. Day 14, the finale. The final batch of fish was weighed. The final tally, 8.6 tons of halibut, enough to break even and bring in over $210,000 in revenue. But after deducting all expenses, fuel, boat rental, crew salaries, the remaining amount was only $40,000, just enough to continue living, just enough to prepare for the next trip. A victory, but not complete. Mike stood still before the ocean, his eyes filled with fatigue. He said in a deep voice, "The sea never gives anything for free. Every trip is a gamble. This time, we won. Next time, who knows?" "14 days at sea, $170,000 at stake. A race not only against time, against opponents, but against the cruelty of the ocean itself." Without a moment's hesitation, the finest halibut barrels are sent straight to the heart of the seafood processing plant, a fortress of steel and technology where the ocean is transformed into art. This is where the magical journey begins. From raw ingredients to international culinary masterpieces, everything happens in a precise rhythm down to the second, like a symphony with no room for error. As soon as they leave the ship's freezing hold, each flounder must pass the strict selection and unforgiving inspection by seasoned experts, eyes like blades, ready to eliminate any trace of imperfection. Under the bright white lights of the factory, dozens of skilled workers in pristine protective suits, white gloves, and shiny masks looked like warriors preparing to enter a sacred ritual. The steel knife, as sharp as a samurai sword, glided through their hands, each cut cleanly and gracefully like a dance. The thick skin split open, revealing the white, smooth, and plump flesh, the treasure the ocean had hidden hundreds of meters below the sand. The flawless fillets, skinless, boneless, not a single blemish, glistening like pearl slices, were placed one by one on the automatic conveyor belt, lined up neatly like treasures prepared for the sealing ritual. Then comes the crucial moment, flash freezing. the delicate halibut fillets are plunged into a harsh, sub-zero environment where the cold compresses and locks in all the ocean's essence in an instant. This rapid process preserves the natural sweetness, firm texture, and pure nutritional value, as if each fillet were still breathing at the bottom of the sea. In less than an hour after leaving the water, the halibut has completely transformed itself, from a living trophy to a refined, high-end culinary product. Each piece is sealed in a transparent vacuum packaging as beautiful as a crystal of the sea. When the export label is applied, it is not just a stamp of commerce, it is a statement of pride. These halibut are destined to conquer the most elite tables, from strict Japan, liberal America, to the most demanding diners in Europe. When they leave the factory, the flounder are no longer just seafood. They become precious ingredients, transported to bustling wholesale markets and the most luxurious restaurants. There, they begin their final journey, transforming into a delicacy where the ocean meets culinary art. In the golden kitchen of a five-star restaurant, the chef glides his knife with the dexterity of an artist. Each slice of white flounder, soft as silk, is meticulously cut and arranged into exquisite sashimi plates, both pure and seductive, like the treasures of the ocean being opened right on the banquet table. "14 days at sea, $170,000 at stake, and a victory that was barely scraped together. The ocean gave, but never gave easily. Every bite, every fillet was the price of sweat, patience, and sacrifice.